So just to confirm, Chair, we have apologies from Councillor Roos and Councillor Michael Frost is substituting. We have apologies from Councillor Gray, and we anticipate Councillor Hope may be joining us later as substitute. We also have apologies from Councillor Bergman and Councillor Barrow.
I know Councillor Bergman said there was no substitute for him, so that's fine. Next item on the agenda is election of vice chair. Councillor Roos has indicated that she does not want to continue as vice chairman of this committee. I would like to nominate Councillor Ken Rockley. Could I second that? Are there any other nominations?
So who was that second?
Councillor Tewkesbury. Good evening. Thank you for coming. Nice to see you. We're just on election of vice chairman, Brian. Okay. You have a choice of seating. Can we have a show of hands for the election of vice chair as Councillor Watkins? Okay, lovely. Would you like to come and join me, Ken? If you'd rather stay there and move everything, then please do. But it would be nice if you can.
Yeah, I'll come up there. Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Hope.
In the meantime, any declarations of interest?
I've none pre-notified and now I'm sort of dispensation, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, minutes of the last meeting. Have you all had an opportunity to read the minutes of the last meeting? Yeah, good. Other than anything on the agenda, does anybody want to, are you all happy with those, but are there any inaccuracies on them that you want corrected? No? No? Yes, so propose to accept the minutes. Councillor Northam, I'll second that. Show of hands. Thanks very much. Unanimous. Councillor questions and statements. Have we had any questions from anyone other than anyone here?
We haven't, Chair.
No, right. Any questions from anybody here? No? Lovely. Any public questions?
Had none notified, Chair.
Thank you very much. Right, item 7 is the apprentice proposal. Would you like to run through that report, please, Tanya Clark?
Thank you, Chair. So this proposal comes to you members from Charmaine Denny, Assistant Town Clerk, who's unable to be at the meeting tonight. We're aware that it's for a long time been an aspiration of members to look at apprentices and work experience across the council. So Charmaine has looked at this and has determined that we do have the capacity to host a catering apprentice. So this will be in conjunction with Weymouth College, who offer a level 2 hospitality team member, and the course is outlined in the body of the text. I won't go through it in detail. I know you've all read the reports, and the agenda and reports are available to members of the public. So the cost for the first 12 months, going by the policy for payment that this committee has already approved, is £6.45 per hour for the first 12 months, and then rising to the real living wage. That is above the national apprentice pay, so it's a lot higher than other apprentices do get, but we do have that commitment as a council to being a real living wage employer, and I know it's important to councillors that that is also extended in time to apprentices. So the cost for the first 12 months is just short of £10,000 plus on costs, and for the last 6 months that's a little bit higher at just short of £8,000 plus on costs, because the rate does rise. There are no other associated costs except the staff time to train and support the apprentice, and that can be that role can be looked after by the catering team leader. Because this post is filling a post we already have, we need people to staff the cafes. It's not an add-on, it's a post we would already have and would already have to fill. We're just making it into an apprenticeship. So the bottom line is it doesn't actually increase the establishment or bring with it significant additional associated costs. Really good bit of work, I feel, offers a great opportunity for someone, and I'm happy to respond to any questions or other views that the committee may have, Chair.
Thank you very much. Anyone want to comment? Yes, David.
A little bit of information, please. Do we have any other apprentices currently?
We currently have one in the Parks team.
Good. I'd hope that this isn't going to be our only apprentice, because we were concerned, or officers were concerned last month at the amount of time that developing an apprentice took. That wasn't a direct conclusion in that report. Is that the conclusion, or are we hoping for more apprentices at some point should staff time become available?
I think if staff time became available and an appropriate opening was at the council, we would definitely look at more apprentices. We recognise the value, and I know councillors do as well. It is anticipated that Parks will always have an apprentice, so that will carry on when the new apprentice finishes. We do look forward to taking on another apprentice, and that could be something we offer ongoing with the cafes as well. Those two areas of work lend themselves particularly to apprenticeships, whereas some other areas of the council's work don't offer that continuity. The beach doesn't always offer that continuity, and within the office it can be difficult with such a small team.
And I think the link with Weymouth College, can't remember if it was half a day or a day release, but half a day release, I think
it's a day.
It's a day, was it? Okay.
Because you do also need to give some time for the work to be done.
Yeah, basic skills as well then. So yeah, good, well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just wondering, I know some apprenticeships come with actually funding to the organisation that are hosting the apprentice. And I'm wondering if actually whether Town Council will receive any funding, government or college funding, for hosting such apprentices in our workplace.
Not that I'm aware of for these apprenticeships, but that is something I will check. It's certainly not something that's been flagged up as part of the report.
I know there are, obviously with my data with apprenticeships, I know there are funding to support placements for apprentices. So I would be keen, we do investigate that, especially if we've already got one in Parks.
It's also, I think, offsettable. And what sort of accounts we do compared with industry.
Thank you, Chair. Just to sort of comment on that point, I know I'm aware that there's an apprenticeship levy which does go to organisations, but it only goes to those organisations which have a salary bill above a certain threshold,
Yes.
which is above our threshold. So it tends to be for the larger organisations we'll be able to investigate it.
And I think in on that basis that some of the newer schemes that the government introduced very much guided towards larger organisations with a much bigger turnover and everything else that we don't really quite meet, but certainly worth looking at any assistance towards that, and we should be open always to where we can take on somebody in an apprentice role, and certainly at Dorset Council at the moment they've taken on a great many apprentices in democratic services, but of course they've got a huge democratic services team, whereas everybody does every job here. Everybody is multitasking already, but it's something that I think we should always be alive to where there's a possibility. So it's very much a grow your own, isn't it, then, which is what we want to be able to do. That's excellent. The recommendations.
So just on this, Chair, as well, obviously, with Weymouth having so many areas of deprivation, I really hope some young people or anyone really takes this opportunity. I'm just wondering, the other question is, has it been built into the finance that we may need to support the apprentice with equipment? Now, I know there are organisations in Weymouth that support apprentices. So the Chair will also know probably who I'm referring to in this. So I know, I'm just wondering whether or not we've factored in any costs that we may need to help them buy equipment, or at least know that there's organisations out there to support that if we do get somebody that needs that financial support to help them with this apprenticeship.
we're not aware of any equipment that's going to be required by an apprentice in this area, the hospitality team.
It's not quite the same as in parks where sort of steel cap boots might be required or something. One would hope that they don't need steel cap boots. Okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Anybody else, anything to add? No, we'll go to recommendation, which is members agree for officers to proceed and recruit a level 2 hospitality team apprentice for the council's catering service. I will propose that. Second, Councillor Tewkesbury. Everyone in favour? All in favour?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. We come on to item 8, which is tumble down staffing.
Thank you, Chair. If you'd like me to take this,
Please.
thank you. So this report comes to us from Clive Tuck, who is the council's development project manager, currently looking after tumble down. The report goes into quite a lot of detail. Again, I'm not going to take you through that, but we currently have somebody with us on a short-term contract doing the work to enable people with learning difficulties, physical difficulties, to come to tumble down and experience working on the land, growing food, getting out of the house, doing something gainful outside the house, experiencing something new. The council is paid for that work. We currently have someone on a short-term contract covering that work, as it was, the post was filled by a contractor. The contractor was coming in at £25 per hour, and employing someone is significantly lower and will have a direct impact on the budget, not just in terms of cost, but in terms of income as well, because the more people we can get onto tumble down, paying to come and have sessions on the site, will generate more income. So it is anticipated that in the long run, this post will fund itself. The initial request is for someone 2 days a week. And if that needs to be amended later on, as we start growing the services we can provide to local people, we will of course come back to HR if that needs to be adjusted. But the proposal in front of you is a permanent position for 2 days a week.
Any comments, David? You're the one who is most involved with tumble down.
Part of the reason for going for a full-time appointment was that with employing a contractor, there wasn't the same tie-in, if you like, from a council employment point of view and the mission of tumble down. The person who was doing the job was excellent with the vulnerable adults coming onto site. I anticipate this person being providing the same sort of service. I think the lady who was doing it before had a vast amount of experience. So I see this as an important developing area. I look forward to it being part of what the council sees itself doing.
No comments. Okay. Right. Well, recommendation to recruit a permanent learning mentor for 2 days a week at SCP 17. Propose?
Yes.
Yep, I'll second that. Yep, Ken seconded. All in favour?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
You said that.
Town clerk's annual appraisal, item number 9. The recommendation there, the town clerk's appraisal will be carried out early in September, and the recommendation is that that's carried out by the leader and the chairman of HR, so that's Councillor David Harris and myself. Does anybody want to make any comments on that? Are you happy with that way of proceeding? Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I'll propose that then, if I may, if I could have a seconder. Councillor Ryan, Councillor Hope. Ryan, Ryan seconded it. That's the word. All in favour?
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Information items, town clerk.
Thank you, Chair. These items are for noting, there is no decision required, along with the desire of the council to provide apprenticeships. I know it's also been the desire of the council for some time to provide work experience. We are very much looking forward to Monday morning when we welcome our first work experience young person. We're working with a company in town who provide ongoing training, support and work experience for young people who mainstream education has not proved the right way forward for them in their lives. We have a lovely young man coming to join us. We've interviewed him, he's interviewed us. He's going to be following a programme we've put together to enable council. So some in the main office, some in the parks office, some out with parks, some at the beach and some at the cafe to give a good taster. This is mainly because this placement is happening over the summer when certain areas are incredibly busy. When we start to look at some work experience placements we can offer in the off season, we can offer a lot more flexibility. So for instance, we could offer the full 10 days in the cafe or the full 10 days at the beach or the full 10 days in the office. But this is a nice little taster programme that we hope will set a model and a way forward for future placements. Now for these placements, there is a payment. It's £1,000 per placement. So there is a certain level of income and that can be used to offset any costs that are needed. However, for the programme we've put together, there are no additional costs needed. No steel-toe cap boots will be required or other. We have checked that out with parks. So the work this person will be doing with parks is not the level that needs steel-toe cap boots. No juggling of chainsaws or anything exciting like that for them. I am aiming to hopefully provide approximately 4 placements a year. This is the first one, so I will of course be reporting back to the next HR meeting to let you know how it went. But we're all very excited in the office and I know the young person concerned is very excited to be joining us as well. Happy to respond to any questions on that, even though it's an information item.
Yeah. It's not a question as such, I just think it's brilliant to see this come to light. I know it's something HR has talked about for a while, but obviously been difficult with COVID. Obviously now the world's changing and these opportunities are available. It's brilliant to see that Weymouth Town Council is doing that. I'm sure there'll be learning curves from this first placement. But just I think would be quite nice for the young people that come in is a certificate of achievement or appreciation just at the back of that to go into their sort of CVs and portfolios. And of course, then we'll also be able to give references for them later on in life. And I think it's just a great opportunity to support young people in our area.
And I agree with you absolutely, Ryan. And I think that the great thing on this, other than, you know, we all remember the old work placements where, you know, the young person came in and you didn't know what to do with them and you sat in the filing cabinet really, and you knew that next week you would refile everything anyway. Or all they ever did was make you tea and coffee, and it was a nuisance to the employer and of no value whatsoever to the young person. Very often, you know, it was a very, very mixed bag, wasn't it? I think this would be really useful, and you're right, Ryan. It's great that we're doing it, and I congratulate the staff for getting that all in place, and it's a feather in our cap, I think, to be part of that scheme. Mark?
I think it's good work going forward for young people as well. Can I just confirm where the £1,000 going so we don't lose sight of that money?
Ian, how will we?
So the income will be put into a corporate income, so it's easily recognisable, and we can take it and use it if there's a need to use it, so identifiable.
So what we haven't done is allocate any ring fencing to that funding. It will just go into the general pot. However, recommendations for separate use of that funding can be made for finance and governance when we come to the end of the financial year. It's probably the most sensible.
I think it would be worth ring fencing it so we know where it's come from, especially rather than going into the general pot over there. People go, well, where did that money from that placement go? Oh, went into the general fund.
But it will be monitored it, it's not, it would go in the general pot, but then it will be recorded as
It will be
such.
recorded as income, but what we haven't done is allocate specific expenditure to that income.
But sorry, through you, Chair, if I may. As I think you're alluding to, we, at the end of the financial year, members of the Finance and Governance Committee so desire to have that set aside specifically for areas of expenditure going forward to do with work experience placements, and that's something that we can do
Yeah.
if that's a desire.
Should I just have that noted that I raised that at this time, because at the end, if it gets lost, it'll be sad, because obviously work experience will come with a cost of certain things. Obviously, the first one's
Yeah.
probably gone, but going back many, many years, when you do work experience, there will be a cost to some online, so that doesn't need to be kept for.
In the future, if we did need to buy steel toe cap boots, we would look to take it out of that funding that we get. That seems like the most sensible place for coding that expenditure, but I will note that down perhaps the Tuesday for the minutes.
I mean, when we have a youngster, are we helping? Will there be any cost to help him arrive, get to work? Or anything like, nothing at all?
No.
So,
I think what Mark said is a really good idea. And I do see, as you build up the apprenticeship work experience schemes, you will find the need for some petty cash, not loads of money, just petty cash. And I think you probably will find that when this apprentice goes off to college, they may well need a set of, I'll call them overalls, but they're probably got a posher name for a catering. And similarly, it'd be nice if the person going around has a bit of Weymouth workwear, Weymouth Town Council workwear, which costs money and you can offset it. So I just think that that's a good way to get people to feel included. Thank you.
okay, thanks. We make a note of all of that, and then we can carry that forward, because it's early days yet, and I think as they bed down, we will find what things sort of come to the surface that are required. So we'll note all that. So that was just information, wasn't it?
And the access from previous meetings and the form plan is for information as well, Chair.
You just wind down on the screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. So are you all happy to note the information? Yeah, no questions?
With adjustments.
Good.
Yeah, I'll make sure they're recorded.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Item 11 is exclusion of the press and the public. Now, I don't want you all to rush at once to leave. It's good for press and public to leave in an orderly fashion as we go into exempt business. I will propose this. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you. And all in favour? Yeah, thank you.
Unanimous, thank you, Chair.